You're one of a few tech companies that are doing very well out of Belgium at the moment. Yeah, what's going right for the tech scene in Belgium? What are some of the good attributes that we should be aware of? What are people not paying attention to or might have missed about the Belgian tech scene?
I think the Belgian tech scene, and especially Ghent. I think Ghent is the probably the leading city in terms of tech and startups. We're on like kind of our third generation now, and it's now that third generation that is really like reaching a critical mass or doing critical rounds that are finally getting noticed or have the the valuations or the size that people pay attention to. It kind of started a little bit with a company called Netlog, and like we're in the 2000s now, and they for a very long time were bigger than Facebook. And back in Belgium, I remember even billboards saying that the telco companies, back in the day, you had like maybe 1 gig or less than 1 gig of data on your phone, but you could get unlimited data for Netlog and Facebook. Like they had some special. Anyway, and then in the year must have been 2007, 2008. Facebook took over and then conquered the world, and Netlog became a more of an irrelevant social media. And then because of it, they had to pivot, and in that pivot, a lot of people had to leave the company, and they went on to start a bunch of startups, which I guess you could call the second generation, if you will. And then I worked for one of those. So Showpad is one of those companies, and I worked for them in San Francisco. And they raised about 200 million. They didn't reach the unicorn status. They got close. And there's a couple of other companies like Team Leader as well, which was the company of my now co-founder Willem. He was the CTO co-founder of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a also second generation company. They eventually got sold to Visma for a quite substantial amount. And anyway, Aikido is an example of a third generation. So now you have all of these people that in the last 10, 15 years, having been part of that growing tech community, now starting to do their own thing. And I think the talent pool has reached a critical mass. The knowledge about how to build software companies and how to raise funds has matured to a level that it's reaching, maturity levels, so to say, where we're finally playing in the bigger leagues, so to say. And yeah, I think also a city like Stockholm helps inspire a city like Ghent. They're a little bit ahead is maybe not the right word, but with Spotify, Klarna, Lovable, and there's like tons of other unicorns and great examples. Like they really crack the code on like you don't have to be Silicon Valley, or you don't even have to be the size of Paris or Berlin to make a dent in the tech ecosystem. Estonia would also be another great example of a lot of tech companies coming from there. Yeah.
And Belgium, I mean, is still kind of cheap compared to London, Paris. Beers are insane.
Yeah.
Great beers, too many of them, very heavy,
Yeah.
some of them. But I guess you know all the founders as well. Small place.
It's a relatively small place, and I also try to sometimes push or challenge it, because like I would like to avoid that it becomes like this, ecosystem where we all invest in each other, and that it's too much of that it doesn't become too much of an internal economy or a micro economy, so to say. So I always push to like go international or go look beyond Ghent. We have enough things going on by default for each other. But so yes, I do know many of them. We share certain things. We're participating in panels together, and it's a small city, so you often even bump into each other literally physically. So, but yeah, no, it's a good crew. There's definitely a great pay it forward mentality. Like we definitely help each other out, and in a certain way, we kind of treated or used Ghent as kind of like our own Y Combinator when we started Aikido. And what I mean by that is when we started, we basically went round in Ghent to fundraise. And so all of these Ghent entrepreneurs that made some money in the first generation or the second generation, they put in a bunch of like 50K, 100K tickets into Aikido, and that's how we got started, mostly on that Ghent community. And then we used that Ghent community to help us find product market fit. So the moment that we had a first alpha or beta version, we were able to go to all of these Ghent software companies, because that's our target audience. Be like, hey, try out Aikido. And so they kind of, gave feedback and allowed us to accelerate that finding of that product market fit, because the ecosystem, if you want to call it like that, helps to, or likes to help each other out. And so that's kind of how we were able to leverage the city and its tech scene to get started quickly, or to make traction quickly. Yeah.
And finally, what's it like in Chicago? Because we're used to European companies, landing in New York or San Francisco. I know you have a small team in San Fran as well, but Chicago a little bit cheaper than New York, I guess.
Yeah.
What's the city like? Is there a lot of European founders there or not?
Yeah. We thought about it carefully. We had the office in San Francisco first, and me personally, having lived there, the 9-hour time difference can be brutal. Also, no direct flights can be very annoying from time to time. It's also more expensive getting to and from places. And so we figured we want to have the HQ be at a place where there's more time zone overlap with Belgium. Direct flights was a necessity. And then we were in the end doubting between like Boston, New York, and Chicago. But both Boston and New York can be like brutally nosebleeding expensive. And it's also, like in Ghent, we're a recognized startup, or a recognizable startup. And here we have a good reputation in terms of finding talent and stuff. But if we open up an office in New York, we're unicorn number 273 there, and it's to attract talent. That's something that we've learned back in the day with Showpad and having been in the US before. And back then we also opened up a Chicago office with that company, and it was a lot, I wouldn't say easier, but to a certain extent easier to be relevant as an employer, to be relevant as a brand. There's a lot of great talent. It's a big city, especially to build out a lot of the functions that require a lot of headcount. And by that I mean BDRs, SDRs, account executives. There's great talent there. You don't need to be in New York to find great people. We also do have some people in New York. Like there's also a time and place where having some people there for that local ecosystem makes sense, just like we have it in San Francisco. But as a general HQ, also Chicago, it's centrally towards everywhere. You have flights to everywhere. And I find it a very fun city as well, to just be as a person, especially in the summertime, because it can be pretty brutal in the winter time.
Yes. Good pizza as well, Chicago.
Yeah. Deep dishes. Yep.